These cookies are best eaten in the dark, which is kind of what inspired them. Now, this isn't some Batman themed cookie set, it is fireworks, and the base of each of these cookies is black icing. Now, don't be scared of black icing, it is easier to make than you may think, but it's gonna leave your teeth and your mouth black afterwards, which is why it's something I tend to stay away from. My name is Cami Bird. I am the creator of Iced.Kitchen, a once a month beginner cookie decorating guide. And this month we are doing fireworks. Now we're gonna do 3 different cookies. You can make however many of these that you want, and any variation. The best part about beginner cookie decorating, or just cookie decorating in general, is that you can play around with it. So we're gonna do one that's 3 different fireworks in one. We're gonna do one that focuses on just one firework, and we're gonna do one that focuses on the shooting off of a firework. Now, just know, I hope that fireworks do not make this U-turn after you shoot them off. We're not gonna worry about it because these are cookies. Let's get into creating them.
You're going to start by mixing up all of your icing consistency and colors, and I like to use a 1 bowl method for this, where you use 1 bowl to mix all of your colors so you don't have to do a ton of dishes. So I start with the white, and I just added a little bit of water. I usually start with a teaspoon or less depending on how much icing I'm mixing together, and I'm mixing it until it kind of flows off the spatula really nicely, which this camera angle does not really show you at all. And so we do it again with the yellow. Now we're not making very much color for the white, yellow, or red. So we don't need all that much icing, but right here I realized I added too much water. So I just added a little scoop of the rest of the icing that I have so that I can keep mixing it and get that nice, really, like, it's flowing off the spatula, but it's not too fast. It's a medium consistency. It is similar to like Elmer's glue. Now, when you're mixing colors or consistencies of icing, there is often talking about other things that it could be like. So if we got a little bit more advanced and we were doing some very specific line work, I might say like, oh, you want something that's a toothpaste consistency. But here we want kind of like a liquid glue, or even if thinking of like a slime where it's thick, but it can flow, you know? So we're moving on to the black, and the black is the most challenging to do because you don't actually want it to look black here. You want it to look dark gray, and it'll dry black. And now we have all of our colors. We're going to set up our workspace. I like to put down parchment paper, my turntable, my scribe, a paper towel, and then grab all of my colors, get my cookies, and then my next step is sit down, and I want to cut the ends of my piping bags. So I flatten it out, cut straight across. I really should get different scissors for this because my kitchen scissors are a little serrated. And then I turn it 90 degrees and I flatten it out again and I cut again. And this just makes sure that it is straight across, so I have a very precise piping tip, and I always test it, make sure it's big enough, and I'm good to go. This set is really nice because the base of every single one of these designs is just a black, straight, iced cookie. So you're going to start with your black royal icing, and you're going to pipe a circle outlining your cookie. And I like to do this 1 or 2 times, and then you're just going to fill it in. I did speed this up. I was having issues with my icing. I tried mixing in some grapefruit flavor this time around, and I should have sifted out some of that grapefruit because it was leaving clumps. And it wasn't quite as thin, this black consistency, as I would have liked, since I'm just creating a base with it and I'm not doing anything else. So if I were to do this again, I'd make my black icing a little bit thinner so it just floods a lot nicer. But once you have that base layer, you can move on. Let it dry a little bit, but we're going to start with the rocket cookie. And so we're going to start by creating a little bit of a triangle at the top, and we're kind of curving these lines. The two are going to curve in, and then the bottom line is going to curve out, almost like you're trying to get a 3D effect. And then you're just going to fill in that triangle. And it doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to follow it up with our scribe to just like make sure that the filling's all the way to the edges, kind of straighten out those lines, point those corners. This is why the scribe's great, because it can move the icing around in a way that maybe our piping bag is not doing for us. Next, you're going to grab your white royal icing and you're going to create 3 lines. So 2 straight out to create the body of your rocket. You can see my line broke right there, not a problem. Just going to go back and cover it again. And then you can go straight across or curve it. Frankly, if I did it over again, I would curve it. And then I like to add another one right along the red. I did not let the red dry. So I just want to make sure I have some icing there, not directly against the red, so we can kind of keep that line. You can see I'm spreading it out with my scribe, and I'm just going to push it ever so slightly right to that red. So they're not blending together, but they're connecting. And then I'm going in with the yellow and I'm just doing some diagonal lines from the kind of top to the side. Just 3 or 4 very light yellow diagonal lines. And then we'll end by grabbing the red and we're just going to create a little tail for it. Now, should rockets have little curly cute tails? Probably not, but this is a cookie, so what does it matter? And there we have our rocket. Next up, we're going to do just a singular firework. So this is going to be a lot of lines. I'm showing it to you in real time. And remember, I had weird clumps in my icing. So if you see a couple breaks, it's because I had to stop and clear out my piping bag. So we're just doing some angled lines. And think about when you look at a firework bursting, it's not everything going straight out because gravity exists. So even the ones on top curve a little bit and the ones on side curve down a little bit. And so we're just going to keep doing that. And you'll note that I have some breaks in my lines here. It's fine. Are fireworks completely in line and perfect? Absolutely not. So the key is to trust the process and keep piping on lines. Now, a really big trick to piping on lines is 1, getting the consistency right. 2, making sure that your piping bags are not working against you. So cutting a very straight line across your piping bag is very helpful in getting be able to pipe a line so that it's not curling on the end. But you can see that the ends of each of my lines are kind of a little blobbier than the middle. And this is because my things aren't perfect and my technique is not being perfect here. After I get kind of enough lines, I'm going to come in and just add some dots onto the ends. I really like the fireworks that sparkle, so these are sparkling fireworks in my mind. And then I'm going to come in with the white and add a little bit more just for some extra sparkly dimension. And I'm just kind of adding dots to my heart's content. Again, keep trust in the process. Anything that feels a little too bare, maybe add a dot. Keep on going until you have a firework you're happy with. Now our last cookie is a 3 firework cookie. So you're going to take what you did on that singular firework cookie and just make it smaller and just part of the cookie. And you're going to do a firework in each of the colors. So you're going to have a white one, a yellow one, and a red one. So we're just doing some falling curved lines. And we're not going to worry too much about if our lines are absolutely perfect and they don't have bubbles on the end because it's a cookie. We're just going to eat it anyways. The difference is instead of piping on dots onto this cookie, I'm going to pipe some icing onto my paper towel and use my scribe to just lightly dab them onto the cookie. And after I do this, I definitely want to make sure to wipe my scribe off because I'm going to do this with the yellow and the red, and I just don't want to have a buildup of dried icing on my scribe, which is why I like having the paper towel. The paper towel takes all of the wiping, all of the extra mess, and handles it for me. You'll note that for the red icing, I am not getting the kind of blobby dots at the beginning and the end of the lines that I'm piping, and that can be for a number of reasons. Maybe the icing consistency is just absolutely perfect here. Maybe my hand pressure is a little bit better, so I'm letting the icing flow out of the piping bag instead of pushing it onto the cookie. Or maybe the tip of my piping bag is just cut perfectly, or another reasoning is maybe the piping bag itself was just better made. Now I'm going in again. I have piped some red onto my paper towel. I'm dipping my scribe into it, and then I'm just putting dots wherever it feels like they fit. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason. Well, there's a little bit of rhyme. You can see I'm almost putting a dot after every single line, but I'm also not doing that after every single line. So a little bit of rhyme, a little less reason, going through that. One little trick here. If you are finding that your lines are a little too thick, maybe they're blending into one another, maybe you're like really not having enough room on your cookie for 3 of these fireworks, here's what you're going to do. You're going to cut the end of your piping bag. You're going to stick it into a brand new non-cut piping bag. You're going to press all of that icing into the new piping bag, scraping out what's left in your piping bag into this new one. You're going to tie that new one into a knot, and you're going to cut a new tip on the end, and you're going to make it smaller this time. And you're just going to make sure that you have the right cut piping bag for the job that you need, and it's really not that big of a deal. Now, that advice would have saved me from some headaches in the past when I tried conserving my piping bags a little bit too much. Don't do it. You'll be happier without. And we're just adding in some more yellow dots, and we're good to go.
Hear what you thought of this month's cookie set with fireworks. Did you find it difficult to make the black? Did you find it difficult to do the lines? What did you really enjoy? What did you not enjoy? My decorating style is to always just like heavily critique my own cookies. So that's what I want. I just want to break down what I felt went well for me and what I'd like to improve next time. So the black base on all of these, my black consistency icing wasn't thin enough. So it's a little lumpy, and I'd like it to be very smooth. I did another set that you're gonna see for next month that's all about grilling, and that black icing was a lot smoother, and I do know I needed to add just a smidge more water to smooth it out, and then I would have a very nice layer. Now, does that affect anything about this cookie? Not at all. The other thing that I really struggled with this time around, and I think it just goes on the same vein of the black icing, is that I don't think I thinned out my line icing, my white, my yellow, my red quite enough. And then I was struggling, I think, with my piping bags, my tipless piping bags. They had a thicker seam than normal, and I think it was making it curl around the edges. And when your icing curls around the edges, right when you're trying to get it out of the piping bag, you get these heavier dots at the beginning of your line, and I am trying to get better about line work. I'm a very impatient cookier, and so line work takes patience. I hope your lines turned out better than mine. If they didn't, let it be known, I could not pipe a line for a while. So let me know what you thought of this month's cookie set. It is all about fireworks. Highly recommend making them for your next barbecue and firework, whatever the case may be. Excellent to eat in the dark when no one can see how black your mouth is. Be sure to join me for next month's set. My name is Cami Bird, again, the creator of Iced.Kitchen, and I can't wait to show you the next one.